back it
Okay.
up.
There we go. There, that's good. This is this. That should be good, right?
That's perfect.
All right. Hi, Susie.
Hey, Tiffany.
We're back for another podcast. That's
Yes.
exciting.
Real talk about real estate things in the area.
Yes, I'm so glad you remember it because I never do.
Well, and that may change.
I
but
just joke
so
with
far.
a smile on. Yes. No, I just like to talk and chat and talk about all the things.
And so we're first and foremost in the community as far as in front of houses or before they even become live in the MLS. Because I am a real estate agent slash broker of about 20 years, and she is a real estate photographer. We work hand in hand, and so we see the houses before they hit
do.
the market, as well as working with them for staging and smells
Yes.
and cleaning and
Yes.
all of the things.
Yes.
And
It's
so
the pregame.
yes, and there is so much to talk about that people don't realize to get things prepped for that, as well as just us being knowledgeable about the area and homes and neighborhoods and all the things
We
about.
have a lot to offer.
We
really
do.
We have a lot.
So today,
Yes.
we are talking about new construction
We
versus
are.
pre-owned houses.
We are. Yeah. And what brought it up was, I am going to be buying a new home in the future. And, it's one, I'm just like everybody else right now. Like, do I wait for interest rates to go down? Do I, what to do? And so something that was brought to my attention was that new construction right now is offering a lot of incentives. And so, if you are one of those people who is not really sure what's going to happen and, is kind of waiting, this might be possibly a route to go because they are kind of helping, right?
So what? Just curious. What is a buyer just out there and hearing these things? What are your new incentives that you're hearing about? Tell me about
Well,
that.
I have heard that not only are they offering like discount incentives on upgrades, things like that, but that they're also buying down interest rates. So maybe you can explain that to me because I'm not
Sure.
real familiar how that works.
So, and there's a couple things, and we'll talk about because there's, as I always say, there's pros and cons to everything. So, pros and cons to buying new construction versus pre-owned, vice versa. And so, that's something to be in the know about. With our nation's inventory having been down so much since COVID, new construction has definitely been higher sales. And in fact, right now in the Charleston market, 41% of everything under contract right now is new construction.
Wow.
So it is, yes. So there's obviously a lot of new construction and pre-owned home sales, and a lot of differences between the two. So one of the things you just asked was the incentive.
Yes.
So it depends on the builder, the neighborhood, how big they are, where they are in their fiscal year, and to kind of explain that. So, we have a lot of our big builders in the area, right? We have our Lennar and Pulte Syntex and KFRN, and then there's smaller, more semi-custom or private builders that. So there's a big difference of everything.
Sure.
What we are seeing right now that you're kind of referencing is in some of these larger neighborhoods. We'll use Cane Bay, for example. We're sitting in front of Cane Bay right now. They're not just one subsection, but many subsections made up. Right. So, and to explain that, Cane Bay is a master planned community. That is based around easy living. So they have the elementary, the high school, the middle school, all there. They have the shopping, the dining in the front, the big YMCA. Excuse me. And different subsections. And each subsection is made up of a different builder and different amenities. So, for example, Lindera Preserve, which is one of the largest subsections inside of Cane Bay, has over 1,500 houses. They have a dog park. They have the resort style swimming pool and the
Right.
hammocks
It's
and
a beautiful
the
neighborhood.
park
Yes.
play areas. They
Mhm.
do events, and then you have Del Webb, that is the 55 and over community there, that is going to be for folks 55 and over, um, with their events and
Sure.
things of that nature,
Okay.
pickleball, stuff like that.
So these builders,
Excuse
they've
me.
gone into these communities.
Mhm.
They've built a lot of homes. And so they, in order, to stay on track with their numbers and, be able to sell, they're offering extra incentives
Correct.
that you probably would not be able to, find buying a pre-existing pre-owned home. Right.
And it depends on where they're at in the
Okay.
process. So, for example, if you were to walk into, 1, 2, 3 subsection,
Okay.
and the builder is this, every month their incentives change. And their
Oh,
incentives
okay.
change monthly based on the sales and inventory that they
Okay.
have. If you were to build a brand new construction house from start to finish, you're going to pick the lot,
Right.
you're going to pick the floor plan
Right.
and change the elevations, and you want the carpet, from start to finish, which right now we're probably about, depending on the builder, 9 month period from start to finish.
Okay.
Um, is going to be a little bit different pricing versus if we were to walk into that same
Oh.
neighborhood that
Where
has
they've already built like
correct.
some,
So
do they call those spec houses?
yes, so it would
Okay.
be either a spec house, which
Okay.
is a builder has already
They went
spec'd
in and
out.
they picked everything
Right.
out. It's constructed, ready to go for sale.
Correct. And they're just selling that new construction house with all the things that they picked,
Okay.
and it's ready to go. Versus maybe another house that you went in, you were going to be building that. Maybe
Right.
you lost your job and
Right.
transition, the deal fell through, but they're still finishing it based off of what was
With the
approved with the
original
county.
buyers. Okay.
Correct. So then the builders are holding that as a completed inventory,
Sure.
essentially.
Okay.
So you're going to get a better deal on things that are almost complete or completed
That makes sense.
versus start to finish,
Right.
because they're not in the business and they don't make money off of carrying inventory.
Right.
So if they have things that are completed or that have fallen through, especially if they've sat for a little bit of
Okay.
time, they're paying money on taxes and
Sure.
utilities and all of that.
Right.
So they're wanting to move
So if
that.
you're looking for the deal of the century, you're going to have to go in and find a home that's already been constructed, where everything's already picked out, and it's ready to close.
Right.
Right.
You're definitely going to find more of a differential in pricing
Okay.
rate incentives on something like that you can close on in 30 days that they're done building
Right.
versus
Right.
start to
And for
finish.
some people, that might be a great incentive if they're looking to
Correct.
move quickly.
Right.
Regardless. Okay.
Right. Yep.
Okay.
hmm
Now, are they incentivizing homes that aren't built yet, where you can go and
Correct.
start
They
from
are.
scratch?
And
Because
it
they're
just
competing with each other in that
right.
regard too.
Right.
Okay.
And they're looking at it the same way that you, as a seller in a neighborhood that's
Right.
competing against them, they're looking at it as competing against you. So they have to keep in mind that sellers that have already purchased in here that need to sell were not built out of the community yet. They're going to be up against that.
Okay.
And sellers are thinking we're going to be up against that.
Right.
Now, part of the benefit is, as the builders start the communities and they're going into each phase, depending on how much they sell and how quickly they sell, usually what happens is if after every 5 or 6 sales, they start inching the price up little bit, little bit, little bit. So, like the people that bought in the beginning of the community got a benefit of buying in a little
Right.
bit lower, and then it starts
Okay.
raising as they start building the community out,
Okay.
which also helps obviously with equity growth and build
Oh.
in the neighborhood for the
So,
pre-owned
in the
people.
Cane Bay Nexton area, there's still a lot of new development, new
Excuse me.
neighborhoods that they're just breaking
Correct.
ground on. So that might be a good opportunity to get a great deal.
Yes.
If you get into one of these neighborhoods early on. But then the flip side of that is going to be that you are going to be dealing with construction. for
Right.
a
You might
good
be having,
bit of
yes,
time.
hearing the
Right.
noise and,
Right.
all
But
that.
while you're hearing construction, you're
Building
gaining
equity.
Right. Right. No, I think that that's
Yeah.
something great to
Yeah.
consider.
And getting some great incentives, because like you said, what are incentives? So incentives, like we talked about, I would say 9.5 times out of 10. It's going to be, you're going to get the best deal for the completed house or almost completed
Right.
house, the inventory house versus the new construction. And, they are doing everything from, and it depends on how many they sold the previous month, how many they have left to build and sell in the community, where they are at in their quarter. Their
Okay.
quarters are kind of different. So you'll see a lot of, especially towards the end of the year, you'll see a lot of people
Oh.
that say, "Hey, if you could close before December
Right.
30th,
Right.
we'll kick in even more."
Wow.
But if it's going to go beyond that,
So
sorry.
being September, that might be something for
Correct.
people
Yeah.
who are just kind of waiting and think,
Mhm.
oh, I need to wait till next year. I need to wait for after the election. It might be dumb to wait. It might be smart to go ahead and get that ball rolling if you can get close.
Because
before
some
the
of the
end of the year.
incentives are
That's
really
a
great.
really good point.
Yeah, and so, for example, one that I just closed in a 55 and over community, Crestman's in the Ponds
Yes.
in Summerville.
That's a beautiful place, too.
They had, for the very same floor plan that I closed, with a lot of upgrades, if you would have built that house start to finish on that lot, priced it out, the difference between what they sold it for as a completed spec home, like we
Okay.
just talked about my clients, was $65,000.
Wow.
Correct. And not
That's
just the $65,000 price reduction, but they also paid, by using the builder's preferred lender and attorney, they paid $13,000, which covered all of their closing costs. So they had $65,000 off the price, plus all of their closing costs were covered. So the only thing they had to cost or was their down
Right.
payment.
Right.
So
there's so much to consider when you're looking at a pre-owned home
Mhm.
and new construction, yard size, neighborhood,
Mhm.
what kind of lifestyle you're looking for. There's a lot that goes into it. But do you find that people are coming out right now with a lower mortgage payment when they go the new construction route?
So it depends on what they choose. The reason I say that is, for example, some of the new construction are offering. They'll say, "Hey, we'll do 15,000 off an inventory house, or we'll do a interest rate buy down."
Okay. So you can kind of pick one or the other.
Right.
Gotcha.
Correct. It depends on what's more important to you. So, because the interest rates had gone up over the last few years and they are starting to come down, like we talked
Right.
about earlier,
Yeah.
the to incentivize some buyers and or to take fear out of that, they did things such as an in-house lender buy down. So
Okay.
they're like, okay, we're going to fund this loan in-house with, say DR Horton, whatever it may be,
Right.
and we're guaranteeing, a rate of 4.99 when typically it's say 7.
Right.
Or they're doing what's called a like 3-1 buy down, where the sellers are paying the difference for the buyers to have, a 3.5% rate the first year, a 4.5% rate the second year, and then it caps out at.
Okay.
So their payments are lower. They're slowly going up until
Right.
where they've paid it off at like year 2 or 3,
Right.
whatever the buy down is. And then it will go up to that, but they still have the option to refinance, of course,
Right.
at any point in time. But the seller
Right.
prepays that, so the actual interest rate that the buyer's
Mhm.
paying that first few years on those payments is that lower
Got
rate.
you.
Yeah.
Okay. Okay.
So it helps get them in and also helps get them adjusted slowly to um, move up in the payment versus just getting the larger
Right.
payment up front.
Right.
Mhm.
Something else that I wanted to talk about is that a lot of people don't hire agents when they're going the new
Mhm.
construction route. And I can tell you from somebody who purchased a new construction home, that's dumb. I don't know if that's like the right
So
thing to say. An agent is so important to navigate through this process.
Correct.
And there's so much I didn't know. And I thankfully had an agent that was able to, bring a lot of things to light that I didn't know about. So I just wanted to touch on that too. That if you do choose to go the new construction route, still hire a real estate agent.
Correct.
It's a different process than having to go and, look, have the lockbox code and get into somebody's pre-owned
Right.
home. But you still need an agent to help navigate through that process because there's a lot to very complicated.
And what a lot of people don't realize with that is first of all, and to buyers, they don't realize because they're just driving around, right? So you're driving around, you see this really cute new neighborhood. There's
Right.
this beautiful pool. You pull up into this
Yes.
model,
Yes.
and there's an agent on duty.
Yes.
There's nothing wrong with talking to the agent on duty. They are there to specialize in the builder product and the
Right.
floor plans that they're selling. However, they are there to represent the builder. So they're there to
Right.
represent the builder's best interest, make sure that it closes, and they are making the builder happy because that's who's paying them.
Right.
So it's I always relate it to it's very similar to dual agency, really.
Yeah.
If you were to hire me to list your house and I were to write a contract for a buyer and I
Right.
was the agent representing both
Both
sides,
sides.
and I'm not saying there's anything wrong with that, but it is a delicate balance,
Yes.
and it's not as common as people would think as just a regular
Right.
brokerage real estate agent versus a on duty new construction sales agent.
Sure.
I would say, out of the 20 years that I've done real estate, I've probably closed a dual agency, meaning it was my listing and I also represented the buyer under 10 times. And
Wow.
that,
Okay.
under.
Yeah.
So it's not super common.
It's
Our goal typically is to advertise, get out, and sell the house to everyone else.
Right.
So I'm not even a giant fan, honestly, of, and I dance delicately
Right.
if it is there,
Right.
because
Well,
you
it's a
never want
conflict-
anyone to look
it's a
at you as,
conflict of interest,
yes, you
kind of.
never want
You're
anyone
right.
to look at you as if you're not representing their full
Right.
interest. And and so that was always my
Well,
thing
when
with it.
it comes to new construction, you think it's going to be so cut and dry,
Mhm.
but it's not.
And hey, we have the warranty,
Right.
so
Right.
so yes, there's lots of things with that, because yes, you're right, you do have the warranties, and if anything that happens in that scope, in the time
Mhm.
frames of those warranties,
Right.
they're going to be covered. But what if I'll use a perfect example. Houses I have sold as pre-owned houses,
Mhm.
they bought as new construction without an agent.
Okay.
House is 12 years old. So 10 years is typically the max for any warranty, which
Right.
10 years is usually the structural warranty, and that will transfer.
Okay.
We list their house. They didn't buy it with an agent. They didn't do an inspection. They're like, we bought it new construction.
Right.
No, we had warranties. We
Right.
weren't worried about it. The buyer does the inspection. They're like, oh, the trusses up here are incorrect, or anyways, at that point, it is then on the seller to cover that cost no matter what it
Yeah,
is,
that's
because they
important.
are outside of the builder warranties. They never had anyone second look at,
Yeah.
aside from the builder when they close. And granted, the county does have to come through and do
I
approvals, but
have-
there are so many people in and out, things get missed. And
Right. I have a similar story to that with my own home.
Mhm.
I had an agent because we had started looking at pre-existing pre-owned
Mhm.
homes, and then I kind of ventured into a new neighborhood. Similar story. I walked into the sales center,
Mhm.
and then thankfully I contacted my agent and I said, I think we're going to go this new construction route. She said, oh, let me help you.
Mhm.
So she insisted that we do an inspection.
Yes,
I didn't
huge.
want to. I'm like, oh, it's new construction. It's got to, pass the permits and all of that. I didn't want to spend the $500 or whatever it was. Well, we did, and so many things came back on that inspection that we probably would not have known for many years.
Mhm.
And so that was just that alone.
Especially if it's like the other half of the house where the extra guest room is, and you don't use
Right.
the plumbing in
Right.
that bathroom or
Mhm.
whatever.
But
Yeah.
things in the roof
Mhm.
and just little things that no one would have ever come across unless we created a problem, which we probably would have.
Mhm.
And then also one benefit was that she was a liaison between me and the builder,
Correct.
because sometimes it's hard to be the bad guy and to be, to stand up for
And
yourself.
when you don't feel confident about knowing that
Exactly.
kind of
It
stuff
was
in
my
general.
first house, had no clue what I was doing, and they're kind of walking all over me saying, oh, this is how it is.
Yeah.
And this is what
This
we
is
do.
how we do it.
And then my agent was like, no, 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 no,
Mhm.
let me call them. Let me email them. And so her having the experience and, she was able to kind of handle things without me feeling like I had to be the bad guy. So,
Plus, yeah, because first of all, you're uncomfortable. You're not familiar. You haven't done it. You're like,
right,
am I actually able to say this? Can I actually do this? Can I
right,
actually enforce this if I tell the builder this? Because they're saying,
sure,
no, we're not going to do this.
right,
So things like that
yeah,
on top of, I've even thrown ideas out there for clients that I'm like, okay, this is new construction. You can actually get additional discounts with your insurance if you know, list X, Y, and Z, and
yeah,
we can have the inspector fill
right,
this out. Or, because of this, you can get discounts here. Call this company for, just all different kind of tips and tricks on how
just
to.
the experience,
Mhm.
yeah,
Or
yeah,
hey, it's new construction, so you don't have fans, or you need a handyman to do the ceiling
right,
fans and lights, and you
right,
want security involved, and we
yeah,
have referrals for those
right.
things. And just
Yeah,
all
that was
things.
something that I found was where I wanted little things, and the builder
Mhm.
was like, "Oh no, we can't do that."
Right.
But yet, we did and said, "Oh, can you do this?" Sure.
Mhm.
So it is nice to have somebody that knows what
Mhm.
they're doing.
Right.
Been
So
through
you
that
can't sit
process.
there and close and think, could that have happened, or should that have
Right.
happened, or should they have fixed that, or
Right.
whatever
Right.
it
And where
may
you've
be.
walked through thousands of
Mhm.
new construction homes, what to look for. When you're doing like the final walkthrough kind of thing with the blue tape, I'm sure you have like a list of things that you're
And
going to immediately go
I
through and
bring
walk
on my
through.
wrist, I have my blue tape and my green tape, and every builder does things differently,
Right.
but a lot of times we'll walk through, and it's like as we're walking, my eyes are going everywhere checking, and I'm taping, and they're going, I wouldn't have seen that,
Yes,
or
that's
I
what I was
didn't
gonna
know I
say.
was allowed to do that.
Right.
I didn't know that they could fix that,
Right.
things like that. And I'm taking away that annoyance of sitting in the living room every day when mom's going, "Ugh, that little corner right there's been
Right.
driving me crazy."
Right. Well, and
You
it's
know?
overwhelming for the buyer too. Well, first of all, you have that excitement where you're not going to be seeing things the same way that you would see it as the
Right.
agent, because you're just walking through seeing this new beautiful home with all these great pictures that you picked out. You're not really sure what you're supposed to be
Right.
looking at. You're
Mhm.
excited, and I'm sure a lot of things will go missing. So that's something. But a lot of people don't realize that a real estate agent can help them with this process. Like, I didn't until she was like, oh, I can, let me help you. So I just thought it's like you said, you walk into the sales center. That's what I was very
And I mean, I can't speak for every builder or every situation, but you know, as a majority, they already have it built in to pay a buyer's agent representing a buyer. So it's not going to affect that bottom line cost for the purchase price or the incentives that the buyer is
Right.
getting from the
Right.
builder
You're
by
not
having their
right.
own
Right.
representation.
Can I ask how that works now with the new laws in
Mhm.
place?
So far, what we've seen at least here, again, I
Okay.
can't speak for every builder or every area because everybody
Okay.
handles things differently. But pretty much the change was that the listing agent has the agreed upon pay percentage at the time of taking the listing, and then it is also decided if the seller is going to also be paying the buyer's agent. It has
Okay.
been in the past standard for the seller to pay both buyer and listing
Okay.
agent, which on average has been an average of 6%, 3% to each.
Okay.
Um, because of the lawsuit change in mid-August, they did indicate that it is optional for the seller to pay anything towards a buyer agent commission.
Okay.
Um, honestly, everything's always been negotiable and it's always been optional. I mean, heck, you could for sale by owner
Right.
and not have to pay any real estate
Right.
commission. So it's really not that much of a change. It's being
Okay.
spun more of a change than what it is.
Okay.
I'm still seeing that new construction as well as pre-owned are typically building in at least a percentage, maybe not a full what was standard before towards a
Right.
buyer agent, but still paying it. Now there are some that aren't,
Okay.
but they know that it's better to offer covering both those sides because that's traditionally how it's been done. And with the limited cash reserves a lot of buyers have, they don't have the funds to cover both agent
Right.
and their mortgage expenses. Like,
Right.
you know,
Right.
you're looking at almost doubling their out of pocket plus any down payment requirement.
Well, and the way I look at it for a builder is that you all are sort of like brokers, and if you're a builder in good standing with an agent,
With a good product and a good neighborhood,
right, then that agent is going to try to sell your
correct.
community to their
Or make their
buyers.
buyer aware of the
Right.
community if they weren't already
Right.
because, hey, this fits everything you're
Sure.
telling me
And
about the lifestyle.
most buyers don't know. I mean, especially here in the low price. I mean, I've been shooting real estate for 10 years and I still go in neighborhoods that I never knew existed.
Yeah.
Right.
And me too.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So I think that builders need to keep doing this because, you don't want to get on an agent like not because it could really potentially keep that agent
And
from
honestly,
showing
that
that
is
house.
part of their marketing because they want to make the buyer's agents happy with their reputation, with their
Right.
product,
Right.
with closing, with selling. So that way, that agent, every time they have buyers
I
come in
see
that
those
area
little
and that
party
price point.
buses they put you
Yeah.
all on, and they wine you and dine you and give you goodie
Well,
bags.
it's not just that though. You living in the area in general. If someone were to come up to you and say, "Hey, I'm moving from California and I have kids this age and
Right.
they're going to these schools. What
Right.
neighborhoods would you recommend?"
Right.
You just as a person of the community
Right.
and living where you live and all that can spit out and say, "Hey, well, it's even a higher level when the agents know those things and the builders want the
Right.
agents know, hey, we have the largest
Right.
pool with this and that and everything else that
Yeah.
any other community."
Right.
So,
Well, and they do educate you all, I know,
Right.
on things to come and benefits and all of that. And so, for somebody looking for a new construction house, you have all of these details in every
Yeah,
single
this neighborhood's
neighborhood.
here, and this one's coming, and this has this
Right.
amenities, and they're adding this,
Right.
and these schools are here.
Exactly.
But yeah,
Exactly. And you can kind of help them make an educated decision on what area is best for them. So, well, no, that's really good to know about the incentives because I think, especially right now, where people are a little hesitant with everything kind of unknown and not being a ton of inventory of pre-owned homes on the market, it might be something that they would want to consider.
I would say on average right now, what I've seen with the almost completed or the inventory houses, the additional incentives that we've kind of seen are either the fixed lower rates through the in-house or
Okay.
the buy down where it's going to be the lower rate for the first few years and then go up. Um, the price reduction. So, if you can close before X date, we're taking 20,000 off of the price.
Yeah.
Things like that. Versus if you are building start to finish, like I said, it's not going to be so much of a, hey, we're getting 20,000 off the price of this house.
Right.
It'll be this month we're offering maybe 10,000 of free upgrades in the design
Upgrades,
center,
right.
or yeah.
Right. That makes sense. Are there any new neighborhoods on the horizon that you know about that you're excited
There's
about?
new neighborhoods
I know.
and it really just depends on what you're looking for and what the age group is
Yeah.
and what your goals are. Because as you know, just Charleston as a whole is a very large area that encompasses a lot of great and different cities and counties. That all offer different and unique experiences.
All of the neighborhoods. I can be in a neighborhood 10 times and still not tell you what the name of the neighborhood is, whether it's an older neighborhood or new construction.
Yeah.
I mean, it's so much for you to
It is
keep
a
up
lot.
with.
It is a lot. And not saying that every one of us remember
Right.
every single
Well,
one.
it's funny because you've got Carolina Bay
Right.
and West Ashley,
And
then there's
in
Carolina,
Ridgeville,
well, and
and
there's
in
Carolina Park, right?
in Mount Pleasant,
I get those
and
two
then there's
mixed up
Carolina
all the
Bay
time.
and Richville.
Oh my
But the
gosh.
larger lots are like
Yes.
acre plus. Yeah,
That's,
so
yeah, those are beautiful.
they're all very different. But I think
Right.
it's just a matter too of being educated on what's going on in and around, and their pockets too, right? So there's a lot of 55 and over
Right.
communities. There's a lot of family communities.
Right.
There's the communities that are older and established that
Mhm.
aren't building anymore, but maybe they have larger lots and established trees.
Right.
There's the golf course communities.
Mhm.
There's the, closer to the beach area or downtown. I mean, they're
Right.
all just very specific and different. So it's just knowing kind of what somebody's looking for and customizing their
Right.
search,
Which that's so
based on
important,
that.
especially if you're not familiar with the area. And you could live here for
Mhm.
20 years and still not be familiar
Mhm.
with the area. But because there are just so many places you would have never, you don't even know exist until
Mhm.
you happen to drive by it or see it on the news.
And they're all different. Like you think of all of our beaches, they're all very different feels.
Right.
Edisto is different from Cali. That's different from Isle of Palms.
Right.
Is different from
Yes.
Sullivan. And then we have the lake
Right.
communities and properties too.
Right.
You have Santee on the water. You have Bono Beach on the water. You
Yes.
have just so many different
It's like a
prices and
puzzle. Like when
lifestyles.
you talk to somebody and you're probably trying to hear all these different little
Mhm.
things that maybe things they don't even know that they want.
Right.
But you know
And
that
you
they
kind of
want.
grab that.
And
You're like,
right,
okay,
and
let me
then
put all these together.
right. That's crazy. I really have never thought about that. But that's what the low country is like. It's so diverse.
Mhm.
There's so many different areas and different every neighborhood just kind of has its own vibe,
Mhm.
you know?
It really
and,
does.
It really depends on what you're looking for.
Right.
Yeah.
Which is another reason it's
Right.
good to talk to an agent and not just look at
Oh,
things online.
1,000%.
And you,
Well,
as the photographer, half of your job isn't just like when you just did my shoot at Carolina Bay. It's not just the property, it's the community and the area that
Right.
we're capturing all of that because
Right.
that's part of the lifestyle.
Right.
It's not
I
just
just did
the
an
house.
Instagram post
Yeah.
about adding amenities onto your listing, because it's selling the whole
Right.
lifestyle. If you've got a young family, you're going to want to have a playground
Right.
and a pool. Or, if you run every day, you're going to want a big walking trail and,
Mhm.
things that maybe you're not factoring in when you're just going
Thinking,
through
I want
Zillow.
a minimum 3 bedroom, 2
Right.
bathroom, master on the
Right.
front. Yeah.
Well, and here's another funny story is, talking about different neighborhoods. I go in and I make the house look amazing. Sometimes the neighborhood is not. And somebody's going to be going through Zillow and they're going to look at my amazing photography
Mhm.
and they're going to see a home and they're going to say, oh my God, Suzy, I want to go see this house like today, like right now. And you're going to say, no, you don't. Or maybe let's talk about it. So, that's another good thing to know about neighborhoods because the buyer could be going through Zillow and seeing a house that they think is just the perfect house, it's ideal. You're going to look at it and you're going to say, no, I know that this area is not what you want, not for your family, not, it's going to be next to a busy road.
And look, I'm not saying anything negative. She is doing her job by doing just this. But, for example, the one that you made a joke of, I'm charging you a little extra for the.
Oh, that was a safety.
So, beautiful house, taken care of by the same family for a
Yes.
very long time.
Yes.
And just house itself as a whole, amazing, well taken care of, great
And
floor plan,
honestly,
great price, and the
the
area.
location, I was going to say for commute, like it, and the area's coming up, but
At the moment,
depending on who the buyer is, it's something where their agent could maybe look at that street and be like, before we go and look, take the time to look
well,
at it.
and
all
again,
of that.
everybody has different opinions of good and bad,
Oh,
and
of course.
So
Of course.
just really crime statistics from the police department or whatever it may
Right.
be.
Right.
If you know for a fact that you're selling to a family that may be concerned about young kids in the neighborhood,
Right.
I'm not going to come out and say that. You may not even think that. You may think that crime rate is
Sure.
just fine. But
Well, I'm
yes,
just saying an agent knows their client.
yes, and I can
and
provide the
can-
statistical information to assure that they are informed, even
Right.
though the house itself may be.
Yeah. Yeah. Mhm. Well, and just to kind of give them a heads up because you are so familiar with the different and the pros and the cons to, we have some old neighborhoods here in Summerville that 10 years ago, you wouldn't want to think twice about, but now they're
It's
coming
completely
around,
changed because
right?
they've had people go in and redo
Renovate,
things and
right?
change the whole dynamic.
Right,
Yeah.
right. And that's why I think it is that knows the area well and knows this community. Very important. But yeah, it's the new construction, and it's gonna just keep growing. It's gonna keep growing and growing and growing. And I think that for somebody, especially like you said, somebody that maybe is looking for something sooner than later and is tired of waiting, is not finding what they want, I think new construction might be something that they would want to consider.
Well, it is nice because they definitely have some great incentives, like we talked about.
Right?
And obviously it's, move-in ready. You don't have to worry about hiring the cleaner or this
There,
and that.
it is so nice.
So
moving into
that
new
is nice.
construction. Yeah.
I guess the negative or the flip side is, if you're in a newer community that doesn't have established grown trees. Like I know
Right.
that's a big thing that people like,
Yes.
So your newer community, it's all cleared. Obviously, you have new landscaping being put in.
Right.
A fenced in yard is a huge thing for a lot of
And
families.
that's not cheap right now.
Right, correct. So, I won't say all, but most new
Right.
construction do not fence in
Right.
or do
What
not
about
offer that as an
blinds?
option.
Do they come with blinds?
Most do not.
See, that's something
Some
else. And
have the
that's a
option
huge
to add.
expense too.
Correct. Yes. So these are things that, we walk in not thinking about
Right.
because it's brand new.
Right.
Hey, I don't have to paint, everything's neutral, everything's clean.
Right.
But yes, can I walk in and change in the middle of the night without having
Am I going to be taping
Yeah.
newspaper on
Yes.
my windows my
yes?
first
Do I
night in
need
the
paper
house?
shades there? Yes.
Yes.
So ceiling fans, that's another thing. We're in the low country.
Oh, yes.
We want the
Yeah,
air to move.
Yeah.
Even
I
with
can
air
remember
conditioning.
having, that
Mhm.
was the biggest.
So,
The blinds though, or shades or whatever you do, that people don't realize that until it's all said and done. And
right? You don't even think about it.
even to go to Walmart
Yeah,
and buy
the cheap ones.
mini blinds, it's still gonna cost you.
And to measure and to install in every
Mhm.
window and the time or hiring.
Right.
So yes, I think the biggest things to your point is the fence, because people that have pets or young kids that need the
Right.
containment right
Right.
away. And
So
then
they
the
think like,
blinds.
oh, I'm getting this great deal. They're giving me all these incentives, but you're not thinking about the things you're going to have to invest money in.
Right. If those are must-haves in the
Right.
new house. Yeah.
Right. That's a great point.
Yeah. Landscaping. If having a in-ground pool or something like that is
Right.
important.
Right.
A lot of builders don't have the garage door openers or that, there's
Mhm.
different things and they all do things differently. But
Right.
like I said, pros and cons to everything.
Yeah.
You buy the new
Well-
one but you have to do the blinds and the fence, but you buy the old one and you have to retouch the paint and you don't
Right.
have the warranty.
And new construction is only new construction for a short amount of time.
Correct.
It's like when you buy a new car. It's only
Right.
gonna have that new car smell for so long.
Right.
So, I moved into new construction with 2 little boys. I can promise you, after 6 months, you would not know
It
that
was
it was
new
a brand new
construction.
coat. Right. Right. Yeah. No, I think that there's things to look at, but regardless, having an experience is really
It is. And people don't realize that it's and again I'm using the usually and technically not charged to them.
Right.
It's usually and technically
right.
built
So
into
more.
what the builders
Right.
are already expecting that you're walking in
So
represented.
it's not going to cost you anything.
Right.
You're not going to be out anything, but you are going to benefit.
By representation, knowing, not
representing.
having to double think, hey, could I have asked for that or could that have been done? Like you have that
Right.
expert that's the liaison in
Right.
between. And
Right. No, I agree. Well, that was very important. So we'll see what happens on my end. But no, it's I think a lot of people are in my situation.
Now, do you shoot new construction too?
I have not in a minute, but I used to shoot a lot of
Mhm.
new construction, and I
Mhm.
love it. I love shooting construction. And there's amazing builders in the area, and it's new and beautiful and fun, especially their design centers.
I was gonna say,
and
but
their
there is a big
model
difference
homes.
because I'll say even from me showing a completed new construction that is not like a model and furnished
Yeah,
versus the completed just standing
right,
inventory new construction that's empty.
right.
I would think you could probably speak on the theme that the way that it shows, and this just talks about the power of staging
Well,
in
I was gonna say
general.
it's the same with a pre-owned
Mhm.
home. Yeah.
Mhm.
Oh no, you walk into those model homes, and yeah, they
You're
are
just, oh, it's so cute and it feels
spectacular.
so warm and you can see
Yes.
yourself in the house.
Right.
Yeah.
Yeah. Gold. No. But there are a lot of builders that have really great, like trendy options right
Mhm.
now.
Right, right.
And I'll go in and
Like the
get
shiplap back white walls that,
exactly,
a
yeah, and
lot
the
of
backslash hat. They've come
Mhm.
so far in the
Yeah.
last 10 years with the
the
things that they
multi, the
offer and the
navy cabinet
options.
here and the white there.
Right, right. Yeah. No, I like new construction. It's quiet. Not people that did them away and clean and usually smells good.
It
No,
does do
I like
that.
shooting new construction.
Yeah.
I have got so
Oh,
that
yes,
part,
me too.
That part I don't like so much.
I feel like hey builders, you should be putting bonuses of tires out there for agents. Just saying.
They should put that in
I
the little
can't tell you how many
raffle
tires,
that they
right?
do for you all.
Yes,
New set of
tires. Really,
That's
nobody's thought of
funny.
that. I can't tell you how many.
Yeah, I'm gonna open a tire shop. No, I think that right now a lot of people are just, kind of waiting and in I mean, we've talked about it before, just the uncertainty of everything. And I think that new construction is just something to consider because they are incentivizing. It's brand new. New communities are popping up everywhere. My advice is higher
Mhm.
to go.
Yeah, and like I said, especially I know that from experience, and I even bought actually the one that I had in your neighborhood years
Yeah.
ago. I bought that as the end of the year incentive. It was a already built,
Oh.
and as long as I closed before January 1st, because they wanted to close it end of year,
Right.
that they were offering it was like 40,000 off the price plus up to 8,000 in closing
Yeah.
costs or whatever. So I find that yes, especially coming into this kind of last quarter, which again some of the builders work differently, and their quarter might end in the middle of June.
Right.
But a majority, people want to get it off the books. It has to do with taxes and paying on inventory and all that stuff, just like
Yeah.
retail stores. And you can really get some awesome deals.
Something
Steals
else.
and deals.
And I'm gonna say it because I'm not the agent, but not all builders are created equal.
Correct.
That's another thing that hiring somebody with
Mhm.
experience who's been down
Their
this
experience
road,
from working with that builder.
right?
Do they
And
honor the warranties? Are they hard
exactly,
to fix things?
exactly.
Are they yeah.
Is the inspection gonna come back with?
Are they going to be
100
around in the
things
next
on
3
it?
years to honor a
That's
warranty?
a great, yeah, that's a great point too. So
Not that we could predict everything, but we at least, have
right,
experience.
experience,
Yeah.
yeah. So, well, I am excited to see what happens here in this area. I mean, it's growing and it kind of breaks my heart a little bit just because, everything's changing so much. But there are some really beautiful communities
And some really cool new ideas and thoughts being brought into communities as far as
1,000%.
like these little farms that they're putting in where people could do organic.
Red gardening,
Yes, the
yeah,
vegetables and
Well,
things
and out
like
at Cane
that.
Bay, there's, I'm just gonna call them very large ponds, but I think they call them lakes. And if you are somebody that enjoys kayaking and
Correct,
paddleboarding,
non-motorized.
right now my neighborhood has ponds and we are not allowed. So I wouldn't want to get into those ponds. But Cane Bay has built some
Right.
communities around these lakes that they
To be able to
maintain.
do those
Right,
things. And,
right. That's something.
Yeah, so a lifestyle is huge, and like I said, it used to just be, oh, it was great if we're in a pool, but now
Right.
it's lifestyle. It's pickleball. It's the gym. It's a 55 and over.
Right.
It's hey, I'm able to step out on my back, put my paddleboard in, and go through this
Yeah.
beautiful wooded, lot
Right.
right from home
Docks,
or fish.
exercise
Yeah.
equipment. There's neighborhoods that have like built-in,
golf
exercise
course
equipment.
communities.
Yes.
I can
Yeah.
walk out my back door and I've got my golf membership to, So yes, lots of different dynamics
Yeah.
and new additions to activities that I never even thought we would have in places.
Right. Well, in
Yeah.
the community too. Some neighborhoods have community events and
Mhm.
food trucks, and it's a very so if you have a buyer,
Fireworks.
right? If you have a
Mhm.
buyer with a young family that wants to be involved and be close to their neighbors, and you can maybe point them towards communities that have a lot of these things that other communities.
Correct.
Yeah.
Which is part of knowing the communities
Yeah.
of new construction and pre-owned.
Yeah.
So
Well,
thanks
thank
for
you,
watching us
Suzy. Yeah,
again.
that was good.
Yeah.
I learned a lot. I hope everybody else did too.
Well, see us for our next topic of the day.
Who knows
next
what it'll
week.
be? Who knows?
Woo!
We
Send
just
some
yeah.
suggestions.
Yeah, send us a comment. Tell us what we should talk about.
Thank you again. Have a
Thanks.
great day.
Good. That was good.